Covered in picturesque blue tiles, Porto is the prettiest city in Portugal. We kicked off our first day by visiting the Chapel of Souls and then strolled down to the very popular São Bento train station. While being a bustling stop for travelers, this 20th century railway terminal is covered from floor to ceiling in Porto's famous blue tiles. On our way to the Avedas de Alidos, we visited one of Porto's many beautiful churches before entering the street generally regarded as Porto city centre. This street has several ornate buildings in a range of architectural styles. The name of the central boulevard translates to Avenue of the Allies and refers to the treaty between Portugal and the United Kingdom in the 14th century. Standing at the head of the Avedas is a stately town hall and the statue of the celebrated Portuguese poet Almeida Garrett. We stopped for a delicious lunch at Mirana, where we enjoyed sangria, cheese croquettes, baked cod, and octopus. The service and the food at this restaurant were unforgettable. Fueled with food, we headed off to yet another blue-tiled wonder, the Carmel and Carmelita churches. The inside of these churches are gilded with intricate wood carvings, and the churches are in fact separated by one of the world's narrowest houses. While in Porto, a moreno was our guilty pleasure for smooth and creamy gelato. They even served their cones in gelato roses. Hey guys, so we're at the Jeaus Tower and we're first going to the museum. So there's like 3 floors of the museum and then we've got about 240 steps to climb to the top of the tower. It's gonna be quite the workout, but we're really excited. And yeah, we're gonna take you with us. The museum was a quick pit stop before the steps to the best view in the city. The sun was shining on the classic red roofs, and this was an unforgettable sight. To kickstart our first evening in Porto, we ventured down to Ribeira Square to enjoy the sunset over some cocktails and appetizers. From there, we ended the night with a classic Portuguese dinner, which was just what we needed before heading back to our hotel for a good night's rest. On our second day in Porto, we headed out for our first stop, some delicious coffee and pastries for breakfast. Fábrica de Nata served up probably the best pastéis de bacalhau and beef croquettes we ate in Portugal. Both were super crispy on the outside and soft and flavorful on the inside. The pastéis de nata here were flaky and creamy, and they were just the sweet treat we needed before we were on our way to our first stop for the day, Jardine de Sao Chagas. This small historical urban park was filled with a variety of trees, plants, and sculptures. We're about to head in now on day 2 to the Ribeira Leal. We're really excited. It's a really famous bookstore here in Porto because it was rumored that J.K. Rowling actually wrote some of her first pages of Harry Potter here. So we're really excited to check it out.
There are 2 lines, one where you pre-book your tickets and one where you can book the tickets on the spot. Make sure you pre-book your tickets because that line moves much faster.
Let's go inside. This bookstore is said to be the most beautiful bookstore in the world. Covered in intricately carved wood paneling, a grand curving staircase, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and a stained glass skylight, it definitely lives up to its reputation. This is a must-see destination in Porto.
We're in the bookstore right now. It's super packed all around. And there's a big lineup for purchasing books. And for every book that you purchase, you get back the money of one ticket.
After a quick pastry stop, we were off for some more delicious eats at the famous Majestique Cafe. This historic cafe is from the Art Nouveau period, reminiscent of Parisian cafes. Back in its prime, this cafe used to be a meeting point for the elite in the city. We then walked through the city, stopping by some local street markets and enjoying the stunning architecture around us. Our next stop was Café Santiago's for Porto's signature sandwich, the Francesina. Café Santiago has received several awards for the sandwich and has become the go-to destination for it. We got to witness the talented chefs making several batches of the Francesina. The sandwich has layers of sausage, ham, steak, and is all wrapped in cheese and topped with an egg. Covered with a secret beer and tomato sauce and served with fries, this is easily enough for two to enjoy. We also ordered Santiago's hot dog, which was another delicious dish, toasted on the outside and bursting with flavors on the inside. Filled with mouth-watering flavors of Porto, we headed off to the Cathedral. Built at the highest part of the city, the Cathedral is the most important religious building in Porto. The square also offers impressive views of the city, of the Douro River, and the wine cellars on the waterfront. Inside the cathedral, the cloisters date back to the 14th century and are decorated with blue tiled walls and some of the scenes from the Bible. The cathedral and the cloisters are two of the must-see spots in Porto. Walking through the Jardine de Henrique, we headed up to the Ingrada De Sao Francisco. The interiors of this church are covered in gold-coated carvings, and it's believed to be that over 300 kilograms of gold were used to decorate it. Located at the historic center of the city, this church was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Our next stop was the Dom Luis First Bridge. Once again, as we walk through Ribeira Square, before us is the double-decked metal arch bridge that spans the River Douro between the cities of Porto and Vila Nova de Jeaus in Portugal. This architectural beauty was designed by the same French civil engineer as the Eiffel Tower, and thus shares many of its structural and design elements. We walk the upper deck to avoid the traffic, but be mindful, the city train often passes along the stretch of the bridge. Our next stop was Callum, one of the best wineries in the area, for a cellar tour, a classic port wine tasting, and a fado show. We ended the night with a delicious round of Portuguese tapas at Tapas and Friends, where our server was an absolute blast. And we couldn't have left Porto without just another scoop of gelato. Thank you so much, Porto, for the memories we'll cherish forever.